Hey everyone, welcome. In today's lesson, we are going to learn more about JavaScript coding on HatchXR. We are going to explore about how we can manipulate variables using different arithmetic operations, and then we are going to learn about different types of logical operators that we can use while coding. Along with that, we are going to learn more of different types of JavaScript functions and different types of data that we can use while coding in JavaScript or while coding in any other languages as well. So let's get started, okay? The aim of today's lesson is we are going to be building this project. We are going to use all the concepts that we learn in today's lesson to build this basketball game here. And the way this game works is you see there is a basketball here, and we are going to implement gravity. We are going to implement real world gravity using variables and arithmetic operations on variables. So you see in this game, I'm able to move this ball by pressing the space key. But see, as I move the ball also keeps on falling down naturally, the way objects fall down in the real world. So I'm able to bounce the ball up and down using the space key, and then I can throw the ball forward using the Q button on my keyboard. And additionally, we have implemented more different logic here for the game to detect the ball's collision with the goal. So you see, when the ball collided with the goal, we have a score value here that increased. Along with that, the goalpost color changed to green, indicating that the ball has collided with the goalpost and the score is supposed to increase. So we are going to write all of this functionality using JavaScript. So the project that is present here is the final output, and the link of this project is, as usual, going to be available to you by the end of the tutorial. But we are going to start coding on a blank template project that I have opened here. So you can see in this template project, this is the link of the project that is going to be available in the description of this video as well. And if you open up this, once you open up this template link, you will see that this is the design of the project. And if you go to the code window here, you will see that the code of this project is completely empty. So we are going to first of all explore the design of this project, and then we are going to write the code to implement all the functionalities that you saw in the final game here. So let's get started. I'm just going to close this final template here and let me full screen the template project. So start by opening up the template link, and then you can follow along with whatever I'm saying right now. So now that you have the template project opened up, let's first understand what are the objects, what are the elements present in the design of this game that we can use to code all the functionalities that we are going to code. So as you can see, there is this arena in this game here, there's this 3D text, there's this ball. So let's go through the objects present. Now, on the left panel of the design tab, you can see all the names of all the objects that are present in the game. And you will see that we have the primary object here that we are going to use, that is this ball object. So if you click on this ball object, you will see that this ball gets highlighted here. So this is the ball object that we are going to code so that it can bounce and we can throw the ball towards the goalpost. So we are going to add that logic for this ball object. Along with that, we have, you see this stadium here around this. So this is the stadium. This is the football stadium. See this? This is the football stadium object. And along with that, we have some environment objects of ground and sky and everything. But along with that, there is this scoreboard. The scoreboard is a 3D text object that displays this score, colon, space, and 0. This text. Okay. This text is visible using this 3D text object that is present here by the name of scoreboard. And along with that, I have also added a red box on the goal. And the name of this red box is goal box. You will see why we need this goal box object as we continue coding with this project. So for now, just be aware that there is this red box on the goal that has the name of goal box. And then we have the ball object, that's this basketball here. And we have the scoreboard, that is the text, 3D text that's visible here. You can see it's a 3D text. I can walk around, I can look all around this 3D text, and you see this text has some width, some height, some depth. That's why I'm calling it a 3D text. So now that we have familiarized ourselves with all the elements present in the design of this game, let's go to the code window and start coding the logic that we want to implement. So once you open up the code window, you can see the code editor is completely empty. Now, in our previous lessons, we have learned how to move an object around, how to make an object move in one direction using the setY, setX functions. So let's first start by making this ball move up. So to make the ball move up in the Y direction, we are going to create a variable. I'm going to create a variable let space, and then I'm going to call the variable speed Y. Set it to 0, and then I can say ball. I can click on the ball name here and select the set Y functionality from here, and I can close this black box. So you see I get the line of code that says ball.setY, and I can delete this 20 from here because I want to make the ball move up from its current position. So what I need to do is I need to say set the Y to the current Y plus the speed value, right? And then I have to implement the logic to run this line of code again and again using the timer functionality. So what we will do here is ball.setY to what? Ball's current position. So ball.getY. Okay, so ensure that your cursor is inside the round brackets here, inside the round brackets, and then click on the ball name and click on getY. So now you see we get the ball.getY line of code. And here I can say ball.getY plus the speed Y value. So we are saying set the Y position of the ball to the current Y position of the ball plus the speed value. And now what we can do is we can add a timer. We can add a timer that is present here. So you can click on the timer name here and click on create timer. So now you get this timer, and here we can select this line of code from here and then cut it from here, Command X or Control X, and paste that line of code here. And let me change this time interval to 20 milliseconds for now. So I'm going to say that every 20 milliseconds, the ball should change its Y position, and its new Y position should be the current Y position plus the speed Y value. And because initially the speed Y value is 0, so it would look like the ball is not moving. Now what I can do is I want to make the ball move up as I press the space key. So to add the space key detection in our code, we have to add the key down event listener. To add an event listener, we have to write the code ADD capital E, then small VENT, add event, and then capital L ISTENER, add event listener, followed by a pair of round brackets and semicolon. So now inside the round brackets, we are going to write the event that we want for the code to listen for, and that's the key down event. So to write the key down event, we have to enclose it inside double quotes or single quotes. So inside single quotes, I'm writing key down, all small. And then after key down, I can write the comma, and now I can write the action that needs to happen when any keyboard button is pressed down. After the comma, I'm going to write the word function, followed by a pair of round brackets and a pair of curly brackets. Now inside the curly brackets is where I'm going to write the code of what happens when any keyboard button is pressed. So first of all, I'm going to check for if the space key is pressed. Okay, I want to move the ball up only if the space key is pressed. So we are going to add an if condition inside the curly brackets of this function. We are going to write the if condition, if followed by a pair of round brackets. Inside the round brackets, we are going to write the condition if the space key is pressed, right? So one thing I missed here was inside the function's round brackets, we have to give a name for detecting which key is pressed. So we are giving the name event. So here, now inside the if condition, I can say if event dot key. Event dot key stores the name of the keyboard button that is pressed. Okay, keyboard, whenever you press a keyboard button, there are lots of things regarding a keyboard button that is stored in your computer's memory, and that is stored basically in this event variable. And event.key contains the name of the keyboard button that you have pressed. So we are going to check if this name of the keyboard button that you have pressed is the space key. So double equal to, and then inside single quotes, I'm going to say space. Space key has the name space, just a blank space. So if event.key is space, then what needs to happen? So after the round brackets, I'm going to write a pair of curly brackets. And inside the curly brackets, I can write what needs to happen in the game if the space key is pressed. So if the space key is pressed, I want the speed y value to become a positive value, to become 0.2 for now, let's say. So now when I run the script, what will happen? Initially, nothing is going to happen, the ball is not going to move, but then the moment I press the space key, my ball will start moving up. Yeah, it will start moving up because of this timer function, and timer is basically running this line of code again and again and again and again every 20 milliseconds. So what ends up happening is every 20 milliseconds, the ball moves up by 0.2 units. And as a result, we are seeing the ball move up with that smooth animation. So we have already done this in our previous lessons as well. So you should be aware of how this code works and what's the logic behind this entire code. But now let's learn something new. So see, whenever you throw an object, they always fall down, right? And why will it fall down? Because of gravity. So how does gravity affect an object? Let's understand that. I'm just going to open up a whiteboard here. I'm just going to draw what's happening in our current scenario. So what happens in the real world is, let's say you have a ball, and let's say this is the up direction, okay? So this is the y direction, the positive y direction. Now we have a ball and we throw the ball up. So what will happen? We give the ball some speed. The ball gets some speed as you throw it up. But then what happens is, as the ball moves up, the ball slows down. The ball starts slowing down. So the speed of the ball is changing. And as the speed changes, at some point of time, the speed of the ball becomes 0. As a result, the ball stops moving up. And then the ball starts falling back down. So initially the speed of the ball is some positive number, and as the ball moves up, as time passes, as the ball moves up, the speed decreases. So when any positive number, let's say 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, when any number, you choose any number and then decrease the number, eventually you will reach the point 0, right? Choose any number and then start decreasing its value. Eventually you will reach the point 0. So at some point of time, the speed of the ball will become 0, and that will be the maximum height to which the ball will be able to go. And then, because of gravity is still pulling your ball down. So what ends up happening is, after this point, the speed, you see, as you decrease the speed, after 0 you have negative numbers, right? So gravity doesn't stop working at this point. Gravity will continue to pull the ball back down, and as a result, what ends up happening is gravity keeps trying to decrease the speed of the ball, and because gravity is still decreasing the speed of the ball becomes some negative value, and as a result, the ball starts moving down, and then it will fall to the ground and it will stay there. I'm just going to go back to my code window, and let's just create a variable called gravity. Let gravity is equal to minus 0.05, and Now, anytime the ball is moving inside the timer, after we move the ball, what we are going to do is we are going to change the value of speed. So the new value of the speed y variable is going to be its old value, speed y, plus the gravity value. Now see, what we are doing is, why are we adding gravity to it? See, gravity is already a negative number. So when you add, let's say 0 plus minus 0.5, it ends up reducing the value of speed. Whenever you add a positive number with a negative number, the value of the positive number decreases, right? 3 plus minus 2 will be equal to 1, right? So we are just, because gravity is already a negative value, so I'm not saying speed minus gravity, but we are saying speed plus gravity here. And also you will notice that I talked about a single equal to as an assignment operator in our previous lesson. Single equal to is an assignment operator. What this means is, whatever calculations need to be done on the right hand side, your computer will do those calculations right hand side, and then whatever is the output will be assigned to the left hand side variable. What this means is, here in your, this is slightly different from mathematics. This equal to sign that we use in programming is slightly different from mathematics. What we are doing here is, see, when we say speed is equal to speed plus gravity, it means that the new value of speed is going to be the old value of speed plus the gravity value. Okay, but if you were doing this in maths, then you would have just cancelled out the speed y from here, because in maths the equal to sign is used as assignment and comparison operator at the same time. But in programming, for comparing, we use double equal to, and for assigning a value to some variable, we use the single equal to. What I'm trying to say is, in maths, if I say x is equal to 2, it means that the variable x has the value of 2. But then if I say, let's say x square is equal to x plus 1. Let's say we have this equation. So here you see, this is a mathematical operation, okay? What this means is that the left-hand side value should be equal to the right-hand side value. It's comparing both the values. And through the comparison, once you solve the equation, you will be able to find out the actual value of x, right? So through this equation, x is being assigned some value, and also the left-hand side is being compared to the right-hand side. In maths, both of them work together. But in programming, double equal to sign compares the left-hand side and the right-hand side values with each other. And when you use a single equal to, then whatever expression you have written on the right-hand side, that will be calculated, and there will be an output. That output number or value will be assigned to the variable on the left-hand side. So here, the left-hand side speed y is telling your computer to forget the old value and calculate this new value of speed y, and whatever this new value of speed y is going to be, store that new value of speed y in the variable speed y. So this line is saying the new value of speed y is going to be the old value of speed y plus gravity. And there is a shorter way of writing this. This is one way of writing this equation, but you can also write the same equation. I've just commented out this line of code, and you can write this line of code by saying speed y plus equal to gravity. So it says speed y plus equal to gravity. This is a shorthand of this same equation. So this is an increment operator that increases the value of speed y, increases or decreases the value of speed y with this value. Cool. So now what we have done is we have added a gravity variable, and inside the timer, after we move the ball, after the ball moves, the value of speed changes. Now see, earlier what was happening was, when you ran the script, your ball was not moving at all till you pressed the space key. But now see what happens. When I run the script, you will notice that the ball immediately falls down. It falls down because even though I am not trying to throw the ball, I want the ball to stay above the ground, but because I have implemented this gravity variable, and you see, the gravity variable here is changing the speed value, even though the speed initially is 0. But then when you say speed plus equal to gravity, then what will happen is after 20 milliseconds, when this entire line of code, these two lines of code will run again, the speed y value would have decreased from 0 to minus 0.05. And as a result, what would end up happening is when this line of code runs again, speed y no longer is 0. It has some value, and that results in making the ball move. Just like in real world, when you hold a ball in the air and you leave the ball, it will fall down in the real world, right? So that's exactly what's happening here as well. If you want, you can also look at what exactly this line of code is doing. How exactly is it changing the value of speed y? So you will notice that in this code editor, there is a console at the bottom of the workspace. Every code editor that you use, any other code editors that you may end up using in your future, all of those code editors, all the code editors, they have a console. The benefit of the console is you can print out values of variables that your computer is seeing while it's running a code. Okay, so values of variables can change while the code is running, right? Like here, we are changing the value of speed y every 20 milliseconds. Yeah, so the value of speed y is changing. We may not know what the value is, but your computer is doing some calculations and it continuously is updating the value of speed y, right? So what you can do is you can print out whatever the value of speed y your computer is looking at a specific amount of time. So you can do that by using a command called log function, okay? And you will find that, just ensure that your cursor is in a new line of code, and then go to the utilities section here. And then you will see the very first option here is log. See that? You can click on this log, and now you see it says hatch.log, and there is a sentence, there is a phrase here that says hello world. Let's see what exactly is this doing. So when I run the script again, you will notice that the moment the code starts running, you see, hello world is getting printed in the console every 20 milliseconds. It will keep on printing the hello world, and it will not stop printing because timer is going to run indefinitely. So what we can do is we can click on reset and stop this timer. And rather than printing this hello world phrase, what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this hello world phrase from here. I will say print the value of speed y. So just say speed y here. When you just give the name of the variable here, it will print the value of this variable in the console. Now when you run the script, you will see that as the code starts running, the speed of the speed y value keeps on changing. You see, now it's changing at a very fast speed because 20 milliseconds is a very small amount of time. But to make this easily readable, what we can do is let's just, for now, change this 20 milliseconds to 500 milliseconds. So basically what we are doing is every 500 milliseconds, the ball is going to move with the value of speed y, and the value of speed y is going to change, and we are going to print the value of speed y. Let's run this script and see what happens. So see, every 500 milliseconds, you see the value of speed y changes and it keeps on decreasing. Yeah, and as it decreases, you see the ball is moving down. So let's set this back to 20 milliseconds, and for now I'm going to comment out the speed y line here. So we saw that our ball was falling down. The moment our code runs, the ball falls down. You also must have noticed that as the ball was falling down, it fell below the ground. Because right now we have not added any code here to detect any collision between the ball and the ground. Now what I mean by the ground here is, see, when you run the code, you will see the ball falls down, right? Now there is this green ground here, right? So what we want to do is, let's go to the code window. And here, let's see, You see, we have this ball here and it is floating up in the air. So when you click on the ball object, you will see that the ball has some position values. So the ball is 0 in X position and it is 4 units up in the air already. So the ball's Y position is 4. And then the ball's Z position is set to -8. So you see, actually you will notice that there is a camera here and there is a player object that contains the camera. So this player is basically you in the game. This is the vantage point from which you are viewing the game. The camera acts as your eyes in the game. So yeah, now you see, let's try to move the ball down. Okay, let's try to move the ball down. Let's see what happens when the ball reaches the ground. See, look at the Y position of the ball. When the ball has just reached the ground, the Y position of the ball is 0.5. Now, if the Y position of the ball becomes less than 0.5, you see, the ball moves below the ground. So there are lots of ways in which you can write the logic for your ball to decide whether it has reached the ground or not. I am going to show you one logic that we can implement right now, and that is using this knowledge of knowing that when the ball moves below the Y position of 0.5, then it falls below the ground. So let's set the Y position of the ball back to 4 here and go back to the code window. Now what we are going to do is, inside this timer function, we are going to add an if condition. We are going to say, check if the ball's Y position is less than 0.5. And if the ball's Y position is less than 0.5, then what I will do is I will set the speed Y to 0. We are going to add an if condition for this. So if, and then a pair of round brackets, and inside this we can say, how do we check if the ball's Y position is less than 0.5? We find out the current Y position of the ball, right? So we find out the current Y position of the ball using the ball.getY function. So inside the round brackets we can type ball.getY and round brackets. So ball.getY, and then you say check if this is less than 0.5. So ball.getY, if ball.getY is less than 0.5, then after this round bracket you will have to write a pair of curly brackets and you will define what needs to happen if the ball's Y position is less than 0.5. Then I want the ball to stop moving. So I will say speed Y should become 0. Okay. Now let's run the code with this modification. Okay. Now you will see that when I click on the run script, the game loads, the scene loads, and as the ball reaches the ground, you see it stopped moving. Now the ball has moved slightly below the ground, and that's because when this if condition is running, that is stopping the ball's Y position can be, let's say, 0.4 or 0.3. Yeah. Now if the ball's Y position is less than 0.5, so when it's 0.4 or 0.3 or 0.25 or 0.1, in that scenario the speed of the ball will become 0. But we still know that whatever this value is, that 0.1 value or 0.3 value or 0.2 value, it is going to make it look like the ball is slightly below the ground. Yeah. So what we can do to modify that situation is we set the speed Y of the ball to 0, this variable, but along with that we know that to make it look like the ball is standing on top of the ground, the Y position of the ball needs to be 0.5. So when the ball stops moving, I can set the ball's Y position, ball.setY, to 0.5. And this line will make it look like whenever the ball stops moving, it is standing on top of the ground. So now when you run the script, you will see that your ball stands on the ground as it falls down. And you will notice that as you press the space key, you can bounce the ball up as well. Because every time you press the space key, you are giving the ball a positive speed of 0.2. So anytime, my cursor was active in the code window, so I ended up deleting my code here. I'll keep the code. Whenever you're running your game, ensure that your cursor is inside the game, okay? Because once you click inside the code editor and then you try to run your keyboard button activities in the game, they will not work because your mouse is active inside the code editor. So when you press the up down arrow keys or space key, that is moving your cursor and that is not moving anything in the game. Okay, so computer decides where the mouse is active at. So when you are running a game, ensure that once you have clicked on run script, just click on the scene once to ensure that the cursor is no more active in the code editor. The mouse will be active in the game. So then the arrow keys or the space key, all of these are going to run the events that you're coding in the game, okay? And they are not going to affect any changes in the code that you're writing. So yeah, now I was saying, here you'll see anytime I press the space key, I'm able to move the ball up because of this logic that we had written. But you see the ball, anytime I press the space key, the ball doesn't bounce up a lot. Speed is fine, 0.2 is fine. But what we have done is, this gravity of minus 0.05 is too big. What we can do is, let's reduce this gravity. I'm going to reduce the gravity to minus 0.005. Now, when I run the script, you will see my ball falls down slightly slowly. And when you press the space key, you can bounce the ball up with the space key. See, anytime you press the space key, you are basically giving the ball an upward speed of 0.2. And all of this logic is still running. So once the ball gets the speed of 0.2, over time, because of gravity, the speed will continue to decrease and ball will continue to rise and then fall down. And then as it reaches the ground, it will stop moving and stay at the Y position of 0.5. Okay, so we have learned how to manipulate variable values, and using those variable values, how we can make it look like an object is bouncing in a real world environment. We have implemented a simplified version of real world gravity in this project. So let's stop here, and in the next video, we are going to implement the remaining functionalities of the game. We are going to make the ball collide with the goalpost and implement the score functionality to display the score in the game. And along with that, we are also going to make the ball move forward while it's bouncing up and down. Alright? So see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.